So the reason for me to start this chapter is it is exactly the reverse of fourth chapter. So what was the objective of what we learned in fourth chapter? So what was the whole context about it in fourth chapter? So we try to understand that if the charges are in motion, right? If the charges are in motion, then there is magnetic field around. That was the main objective, right? So that's why the chapter was moving charges and magnetism. Whereas here what will happen is the reverse process will happen. Means in chapter 4, what happened? In chapter 4, moving charges created magnetism. So to put it in simple terms, can I say that current, wherever current was there was magnetism around. So this chapter is exactly the reverse. Exactly the reverse in the sense, using magnetism, we are going to generate current. Okay. So using magnetism, generating current is the main objective of this chapter. So what we will do is we will induce current. So what do you need to induce? So inducing means creating something without a physical contact. Creating without physical contact. So that's what we call it as induce. Okay. So what are we going to induce? We are going to induce current with the help of magnetism. Okay. So the first to observe the basic terminologies that are required for this chapter. This chapter.
கிளாஸ் இருக்குமா நான் வரல கிளாஸ் இருக்கு
Okay. So if you observe the main context, the main topic you're supposed to understand in this chapter, before we proceed, is called as magnetic flux. So flux, the same symbol, like how we use for electric field, we are going to use the same symbol. But the only difference is we call it as phi b. Okay. So what is this magnetic flux all about? It is similar to that of the electric flux. Only thing, wherever electric is there, you are going to replace it with the term magnetic. So it is defined like this. The number of, can make a note of it, magnetic field lines, the number of magnetic field lines passing, the number of magnetic field lines passing through a unit area normal to it. Okay. So if you're able to define something like this, then the parameter is what is called as magnetic flux. So how did we write electric fluxes? Electric flux was written as EA cos theta, right? In a similar way, magnetic flux will be written as, instead of E, you will have B, and you will have A cos theta. So the magnetic flux depends on three parameters. What are they? So magnetic flux depends on three physical quantities or three parameters. What are they? Three variables. One is magnetic field. Second is area of the coil. And the third is orientation of the coil. So what do you mean by orientation? So orientation means it is the angle between B and A vector. The angle between B and A vector is also one of the parameters where you can change the, where you can think of changing the flux. Okay. So if any of the parameters out of them changes, then the magnetic flux is going to change. So to summarize it, magnetic flux is nothing but the number of magnetic field lines passing through a unit area. This term is important, normal to it. Okay. Phi b is equal to BA cos theta. Okay. Or this can also be written as phi b is equal to B vector dot A vector also can be. There is another way to write. Similarly, the flux depends on three variables. What are the magnetic field, the area of the coil, and the orientation of the coil. So these are the three parameters. Right? let me explain the whole context of this chapter. So I'll show you a small simulation, observe it carefully, because that is a simulation, that is a concept on which the whole chapter is going to be dependent on. So observe it clearly. If there is any doubt, let me know. So you remember this, I showed it to you. You have a current carrying conductor. The current carrying conductor is connected to a bulb. You have a magnet. Okay. When you move the magnet, sorry, not this one. I think I showed this part to you guys. Yeah. So this one you remember, you have a current carrying conductor. If the current starts flowing, then the compass starts showing some deflection. Right? As I increase the value of current, the amount of magnetic field around this conductor is going to increase. Right? Now observe, I am doing a reverse. The name of this coil is pickup coil. Okay. So you have a coil. You're able to see these blue color dots. These blue color dots are the electrons. Okay. So the conductor is connected to a bulb. Okay. This magnet is having a magnetic field around it. It is having some magnetic field around it. If you observe closely, there is some amount of magnetic field that is passing through this coil. There is some amount of magnetic field which is actually passing through this coil, normal to it. Normal in the sense, so the coil is like this, means the normal will be, look at my cursor, the normal will be in this direction. So normal, in whichever direction I'm moving the conductor, that is going to be the direction in which the normal of the coil will be present. Now observe the bulb carefully. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this magnet. The conductor is going to be stationary. I'm going to move this magnet. Observe what exactly is going to happen. So what is happening? Are you able to see something? So when I move the magnet, the bulb is glowing. So when will it be able to glow? Only when the electrons flow. Technically, when an electron flows, what do we call it as?
Current.
Current.
We call it as current, right? So current is flowing within the conductor. So that is what is happening. But how is it happening? That's what we need to analyze. That's what this chapter is all about. Okay. So if you want to see how a galvanometer works, this is how a galvanometer is. It is at the center. So somebody asked me, why do we reverse the polarities and all those things? Now observe one thing clearly. So when I'm moving the magnet close to the conductor, observe the deflection of the galvanometer. Which side did it turn? I'm doing it again. Observe. It is actually a very fast process. Which direction? Did you people observe? When I move the magnet close to the coil, in which direction did the magnet show the galvanometer show the reflection?
Sir, we can't see it went towards the right, sir, for just one.
It is very slow. See, observe it, no? Observe with concentration.
Negative, sir.
Negative.
It went to the left side. Observe. It went to the left, no? Now see what will happen when I move the magnet.
Then after that it went to the right, sir.
That is
And it came back.
That is because the spring force acted. Okay, now I'm trying to bring it back. Or else you do one thing, no? Look at the direction of electrons. That will give you an idea. Okay, look at the direction of electrons. When I move it close, in which direction are the electrons moving? Downward, right?
Downward.
Downward. When I move it away, they move in the upward direction. Okay. So if you observe, the whole context of this chapter is dependent only on this phenomenon, which was observed again. Like how Oersted observed that current carrying conductor will generate magnetism. Some other physical parameter was observed because see, generally physics follows symmetry. In the sense, using magnetic force, using electric field, if you are able to create magnetism, the reverse principle will also work. Why can't you create electric field using magnetism? That's what this chapter is all about. Right? So when this is happening, just a minute, I'll connect my device. Can you people guess with whatever topic I discussed in the beginning and this topic, what exactly is happening? Why this kind of a phenomenon is observed?
Change in flux.
It is. Can you repeat it?
Change in flux.
Very good. So that is the answer. So if you observe, the flux that is linked with the coil is changing with respect to time. As I move the magnet, I'm giving it some velocity, right? So that is one of the things, right? Now what I'll do is I'll keep the magnet fixed. Okay, now I'm connecting the bulb itself. Now I'm going to move the current carrying conductor. Will the same phenomenon be observed? Do you think this? Let's see. It's happening. It's working. Right. So
Yes,
what did I
sir.
do? Initially, I kept the conductor fixed. I moved the magnet. It worked. I kept the magnet fixed. I'm moving the conductor. This worked. Now I can move both simultaneously because here I cannot do it. I'm not able to do it here because the cursor doesn't work for both simultaneously. So what we can do is you can either move the magnet and keep the conductor fixed, or you can move the conductor and keep the magnet fixed, or you can create both. You can move both. When you do so, what exactly happens is here in your textbook there is an experiment given. See, these experiments were done by the scientists Faraday and Henry. So remember their names. So I showed you the pickup coil, no, the C1, the place where I'm moving it. So when you move the magnet to close to it, you're trying to increase the flux. You're trying to increase the magnetic field because the magnetic field is stronger near the poles of the magnet. So if a permanent magnet is moved close to the magnet, close to the pickup coil, then you're trying to increase the flux. Okay. It's in the same way, if you try to move it away, you're trying to decrease the flux. But in both the cases, what are you doing? You're changing the flux with respect to time. So if there is a change in flux taking place with respect to the coil, change in what flux?
Magnetic flux.
Only magnetic flux. This concept will not occur for electric flux. Okay. The change in magnetic flux is what is giving rise to the current. Okay. Similarly, if you observe C1 and C2 here, what is the difference between the first diagram and the experiment number 2? In experiment 1, we used a permanent magnet. In experiment 2, we are using a temporary magnet. So here, which one is temporary magnet? C1 or C2 is the temporary?
C2.
C2 is the temporary. So the one which is connected to the battery source is the temporary magnet, or you can also call it as electromagnet. The one which is connected to the galvanometer or any kind of electrical load is what is called as a pickup coil. Are you guys able to understand? So this is what is going to happen. So I can keep the switch closed and make the current continuously flow through it, and I can find some deflection taking place here. What is the third procedure? The third procedure is by controlling using a switch. If you observe, the second and the third one are the same, except the fact in the second one there is no key that is used to control it, whereas in the third one you're using a key. So when you close it, current will pass through C2. Due to the current in C2, there will be a magnetic field, magnetic flux linked with coil C1. Hence, there will be a current. Okay, as soon as you switch it on, the magnetic flux will decrease because the current in coil 2 will decrease. Hence, there will be a current generated again. So, but one important point I want to tell you guys is, when I move it, you're able to find some current that is getting generated. It is because of the motion of the electron. Is this a steady state current?
No.
No, sir.
It is not a steady state. Then what is the name of this kind of a current? Anybody knows the technical name of it?
Alternate current.
Induced current.
Induced current is okay, but induced current is not a variety. I cannot say it as a. So this type of a current is called as transient current. Transient. Transient. So transient means current which is existing for a very small duration. Okay. So whenever you see a current which is flowing within a conductor for a very small duration, that's what we call it as transient current. You can make a note of it. Okay. So this term is mostly used for the competitive exams. So make a note of it. That time it should not be new. So what is it? It's a transient. So when will the transient current exist in this particular material? As long as you are able to change the magnetic flux, you can make this current flow through it. The instant you stop it, it's going to stop. You have to understand this, right? So what is the whole context of this chapter? By changing the magnetic flux within the pickup coil, we can generate electricity within it. So if electric current is able to get generated, who is responsible? How will the electrons flow within the conductor? Can they flow on their own? Suppose I have a conductor like this. Now this concept you need to recollect it from the third chapter. So when we discussed about the concept of drift velocity, what did I say? When you have a conductor, okay, inside the conductor, before you connect the potential source, what will happen? The electrons will have
Random motion.
Random motion.
collider.
they'll have a random motion. As a result of this, their velocity, the initial velocity vectors get cancelled out. The average value of that is going to be 0. Whereas if I need to make them flow in a steady state or in a particular direction, then what are we supposed to do? You need to connect it across.
Electrical field.
You need to
Electrical.
create an electric field. Electric field is created by the external force, that is nothing but a battery. Right? When you do this, the electrons get drifted and they start moving in a particular direction. So what is happening here? In the simulation which I showed you, are the electrons moving in a state in a fixed pattern, or are they moving randomly?
Pattern.
Fixed pattern, right? So if something has to move in a fixed pattern, what is necessary?
Potential difference.
Potential difference, or I can technically call it as EMF, right? So I need to create an EMF for current to flow. So whereas what is happening here, by changing the magnetic flux, we are able to generate EMF. So we don't use the word current. We say EMF is induced. We don't say current is induced. Okay, due to that EMF, then the current is going to get induced. Are you guys able to understand? So that is what the first law of this chapter. Yeah, tell me.
Can you just repeat the point about EMF once, sir?
Which one? Where from where?
Sir, that after the diagram, sir, like once you explain.
I'm saying you need to connect any device across an EMF source for the current to flow through it. So what I'm trying to say here is, so what I was trying to say here is, by changing the magnetic flux, we are generating an induced EMF. That is what I tried to explain.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what is called as the Faraday's law of induction, or we call it as Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So this is the first law you're going to learn in this chapter. Write it down. So write down the heading as Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So there are two things, okay? Don't get confused. One is Faraday's experiment. These three are the Faraday's experiment. So based on the experimental observations, a law was formed. And that law is what is named as the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Let's see what it states. So make a note of it. Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, in simple form we write it as EMI. Okay, electromagnetic induction. So it states like this: when there is a change in magnetic field across a coil, EMF is induced in it, which is directly proportional to the rate at which the magnetic flux changes. Okay, when there is a change in magnetic, I'm extremely sorry, when there is a change in magnetic flux, don't use the word please change this word. When there is a change in magnetic flux across a coil, EMF is induced in it, which is directly proportional to the rate at which the magnetic flux changes. So if you write the mathematical expression for it, it is like this. So E is directly proportional to the rate at which the flux is changing. Or I can also write EMF is directly proportional to delta phi by delta T, both mean the same. So what is the difference here? This is going to be
Instantaneous, sir.
instantaneous, and this one will be
Average.
very good. Going to be average. Okay. So if at all the flux is a function of time, then you need to differentiate. If at all the flux is constant with respect to time, you need to find the average. Okay. So when you remove the proportionality symbol, the constant which is introduced is -1. So let's not worry about how it has come. This is how the statement is going. So minus d phi by dt. To be more specific, I should write it as magnetic flux for you to remember. So EMF will be equal to minus of d phi b by dt, or EMF is equal to minus delta phi b divided by delta t. So this is the law. This is a mathematical expression for the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. This negative sign has a significance that is given by some other law. That is the next law that we will discuss next. Okay, that we will discuss slightly after we will discuss after 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. So this is what is the expression for EMF due to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. So based on this, we will try to do a small problem. I'll tell you how to solve them. Okay. Yeah. One more point to be added. If the coil has n number of turns, just make a note of it. If the coil has n number of turns, then EMF will be written as minus n into d phi by dt, or EMF is equal to minus n into delta phi b by dt. So these are the two important points to be noted. Okay. See, this question we will discuss later. Let's start with example 6.2. So what is the example stating? There is a square loop of side 10 centimeter and a resistance of 0.5 ohm is placed vertically in the east-west plane. Okay. A uniform magnetic field of 0.1 Tesla is set up across the plane in the northeast direction. The magnetic field is decreased to 0 in 0.7 seconds at a steady rate. Okay, wherever you see steady, it means average. Determine the magnitudes of induced EMF and current during this interval. Let's analyze this first. Okay. So 6.2. 1. So north, south, east, and west. So there is a square loop which is placed in the east-west plane. So it is going to lie like this. Right? So it is going to lie in this plane like this. And how is the magnetic field? The magnetic field is in the northeast direction. Okay. Northeast means what is the angle made by it with respect to the east and the west, north direction?
45.
It's exactly 45 degrees. Okay. So east and this is north. This is going to be north. So indirectly, they've given you the angle. Is this magnetic field a constant value or varying? initially, if you observe it is a varying one. Okay. So as I told you, the first thing you're supposed to do to solve any problem in this chapter is first look at flux. Flux is equal to d into a into cos theta. So what are the three parameters on which it depends on? For you to change the flux with respect to time, you can either change the magnetic field, or you can change the area, or you can change the value of theta. In this question, which has changed?
Magnetic field.
It is a magnetic field which is changed at an instantaneous rate or average.
Average.
Average. So I need to. So what are they asking? They're asking us to calculate the induced EMF. When they say calculate the, read the question carefully. Calculate the magnitudes. If they say, you can ignore the minus sign. Whereas if the same question is to be solved for drawing a graph, that time we should not ignore the minus sign. Okay, please make a note somewhere. So EMF is equal to magnitude of delta phi b divided by delta t. Okay. So what is the value of time it takes? 0.7 seconds. Sir. So it takes 0.7 seconds. So delta phi b is going to be final value of flux. Observe the way I'm writing. Final value of flux minus the initial value of flux divided by the change in time. So what is the final flux? It is B final into area into cos theta. Because area and theta are constants, I'm not writing anything. Minus B initial A into cos theta divided by delta. So what is the value of area? What is the side of the coil? 10 centimeter, right? So magnetic field, the uniform magnetic field of 10 is set up in the plane in the north. So the magnetic field is decreased to 0. So the final value is going to be 0. The initial value is going to be 0.1. 0.1 into current, area is 10 into 10 power minus 4 or 10 into 10 power minus 2 the whole square into cos of, what is the value of theta? 45 degrees, the whole divided by 0.7. So this is what I'm going to do. Right. So when I take the magnitude, it is 10 power minus 1 into 10 square into 10 power minus 4 into 1 by root 2, the whole divided by 0.7. Remember, 1 by root 2 is nothing but 0.7. So 10 square into 10 power minus 5, so 10 power minus 3 into 0.7 divided by 0.7. So how many volts is getting generated? It is 1 millivolt that is getting generated. Okay. Now due to this EMF, what will be the current that is flowing through the coil? Current is equal to EMF divided by the resistance. So that will be 10 power minus 3 volt divided by, what is the resistance of the coil?
0.5 ohms.
0.5. So that is 1 by 2. So it will be 2 into 10 power minus 3 ampere. So there will be 2 milliampere of current that is getting generated. Okay.
Sir, can you scroll up, sir?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
the value of 1 by root 2 is 0.7.
Sorry.
The value of
1 by root 2.
yes, sir.
It is 0.707. You will get 1 by root 2. What you do is multiply and divide with root 2. No? Rationalize it. Root 2 divided by 2. Root 2 is 1.414 divided by 2. 0.707. Reason why I told you is in 7th chapter, this 1 by root 2 is used a lot. Then you have to remember this value.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
why did you take square for area there?
The side is given. No?
Okay,
They're given side, not area.
okay.
So,
Yeah, tell me.
sir, can you tell me why did we take average and why not the instantaneous?
Because the time is more. No?
So I
If the question is, what is the change in flux? What is the EMF generated at the instant? That is instantaneous.
Oh, okay. Oh, Yes,
Here
sir.
it is, the 0.7 seconds is not a instantaneous value.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So 1 minute, could you show the diagram? Okay, okay, sir, thank you.
Sir, why do we take B final as 0, sir?
So they told, no, I didn't take it. It is decreased to 0. They told.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Right. See, if you guys are clear with this, try the next one. Just try that. Don't look at the solution. You try. If you get stuck, let me know. So always try to draw a diagram and then proceed. Do not just like that do it. So what is 6.3? So there is a circular coil of radius 10 centimeter and 500 turns. So the radius is okay. Tell me how to proceed.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
is
Sir,
the
one
initial
doubt.
angle taken as 0?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Is the initial angle taken as 0, sir?
Yeah, it's up to you. You can take the 0 or 1 because it's a circular coil. Had it been three-dimensional shape, I would have told you whether right side only is 50%. It's up to you. That is why they ask the magnitude in this question.
Okay.
Sir, one doubt, sir. So
I haven't done
when the coil is like the
the voice blue.
coil is rotated about its vertical diameter, will the area vector also will be changing, sir?
Yes, simple. That's simple. Because initially, see, aerial vector means whichever direction you have considered as the initial direction of aerial vector, that could obviously be changed by a factor of how much? It will change by a factor of 180 degrees.
Ah,
Sir, what is the unit of magnetic flux?
I'll tell you that. First, you don't worry about the unit of it. First finish it, then I'll tell you. In this problem, it is not needed.
Sir, then we can easily find flux final, sir.
Yeah.
Then we
Then
can
subtract
proceed
it.
as the previous one.
That's it. That's what you're supposed to. So this is a problem where what is changed. So again, every problem you need to check this. What is kept constant? Magnetic field is constant. Area of the coil is constant, but theta is changed. So this is a place where the orientation of the coil is changed. So EMF will be equal to N into delta phi B means it is BA cos of theta final minus BA cos of theta initial, the whole divided by delta T. How much time is it taking for the coil to rotate? Have they given it 0.25 seconds, 1/4 of a second. So N is 500. So B is 3 into 10 power minus 5. Area is, how much is the area? Can you people do the calculation? Okay, pi into what value of R? 10 into 10 power minus 2, the whole square, into cos theta final. Cos theta final is cos 180. See, actually, I can do one thing to reduce the calculation.
So we can take things common.
Yeah, you can take things common so that it is easy. NBA by T or delta T into cos theta final minus cos theta initial. So N is 500 into 3 into 10 power minus 5 into area is pi into R square. R is
10 power minus 2.
10 power minus 2. 10 into 10 power minus 2.
10 into 10 power minus 2 the whole square divided by 0.25 is 1/4 cos theta final. If you take theta final as 180 degrees, then it will be minus 1 minus cos initial is 0 degrees. That is also minus 1. Since they are asking the magnitude, take the modulus of it. So it will be, how much is this? 2000 into 3 into 10 power minus 5 into 3.14 into 2 into 10 power minus 2. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. So 6 into 2 into 3.14 into 10 power minus 4 volt. So what is the answer that is? What is the final answer that came? If you multiply everything, I think you should get it somewhere around 3.8. Okay. So 3.8 into 10 power minus 3 volts. Similarly, current is whatever value you found divided by the resistance. So what is the resistance of the coil?
2 ohm.
Ohm, right? So whatever is the value divided by 2, those many ampere. So that is the, okay. Now let's revisit the topic once. The concept of magnetic flux. So write down the units of magnetic flux. Okay. So magnetic field is measured in terms of
Tesla.
Tesla.
area is measured in terms of
Meter square.
So this Tesla into meter square is called as WEBER. It's called Weber. It's also a name of scientist. So W is what is used. Okay, this is the SI unit. Okay. Next is what is the series unit of Tesla? As I told in the previous chapter.
Pass.
Series unit of meter square?
Centimeter square.
So Gauss into centimeter square is called as Maxwell. Okay, it is written as mx. So 1 Gauss is 10 power minus 4 Tesla. 1 centimeter square is 10 power minus 4 meter square. So this will be 10 power minus 8 Weber. So 1 Maxwell is equal to 10 power minus 8 Weber. Maxwell is generally not used. You use only Weber. So that is why if you observe in this problem, they have given it as WB. Okay. I hope there is no doubt in this.
Sir, அவங்க வந்து difference of flux எடுத்துட்டு இருக்கும்போது taking initial minus final, sir. You get it as
You can do it as final minus initial. See, generally difference is always final minus initial. You don't. That's why I told don't look at the solution.
Oh, so you have to only take the magnitude of.
That's what the question is. No, you have to read it carefully. See here what it is.
Okay.
Magnitudes. Okay. So this is all about the SI unit and Faraday's law. Okay. See, now I'll give you a problem which is actually not there in your textbook. But since someone got a doubt of how to handle with instantaneous, I'll tell you how the question is. When to use instantaneous. If suppose they give you a question like this. The value of flux that is within the coil is equal to 5t square plus 2t minus t, if they give you something like this. Okay. And they ask you to calculate the EMF induced at t is equal to 3 seconds. Again, I want only the magnitude. Then what do I do? By looking at the question itself, I can say. Sorry?
Voice was breaking, sir.
Okay. So I'm repeating it. If flux is given as 5t square plus 2t minus 3, we need to find the induced EMF at t is equal to 3 seconds. So you are seeing the word at t is equal to 3 seconds, then you need to find only the magnitude of it. That's what I'm saying. So by looking at the question, what can you say? Flux is a function of time. Right. So when flux is a function of time, the first thing you need to do is EMF is equal to, I will use d phi by dt. This is the place where you need to use it. Okay. d phi by dt means it is going to be 10t plus 2. So EMF at t is equal to 3 seconds. What is it? 30 plus 2, you will get 32. 32 volt is actually a very high value, but okay. So I randomly created a problem, so it came out. Are you guys able to understand when to use instantaneous?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So generally there is not asked for CBSE, but it's fine. Okay. So I told you in Faraday's law, right? In Faraday's law, I told you there is a significance for that negative sign. And the significance for negative sign in Faraday's law is given by another law called as Lenz's law. Okay. This is also the name of scientist only. So I'll first give you the statement. Then I'll explain what it means and how to use it. Okay. So write down the statement for it. It states that the current in the coil will be induced. States that the current in the coil will be induced in such a direction, comma, such that it always opposes the cause which is producing it.
Sir, opposes?
The cause, C-A-U-S-E, cause. It always opposes the cause which is producing it. Is it clear? So this is what the law states. Okay, and this law is based on the conservation of energy. Let me demonstrate this law practically. I mean, with using the simulation, I cannot show you using a magnet, but observe. So the same simulation will help us to understand. Okay. Now I'm going to concentrate only on two facts. See, by now we are clear with one thing. If there is a change in flux taking place within a coil, then there is current going to get induced. EMF is induced in it. We are definitely clear with it. Now observe one thing. I need you people to answer only two things: whether the flux is increasing or decreasing, and the next two things that you're supposed to answer is the direction of electrons. And one more point to be kept in your mind is the direction of motion of electrons in a conductor is always in the direction opposite to the flow of current. So what does this law state? You try to read the statement. The current in the conductor in the pickup coil will get generated in such a way that it will try to oppose the cause. So what is the cause of generating what is the cause of generating electric current?
Magnetic field.
Magnetic, not magnetic field, right? It is magnetic flux. Magnetic flux. Okay, as I told you, flux depends on three parameters. Never ever state this term magnetic field. Okay. Now the question is, observe. I am keeping them at a relatively greater distance. I am trying to move the magnet. Concentrate only on the direction of electrons. So I am moving the magnet. So two questions to be answered. Fill in the blanks. Okay. First question: the flux increased or decreased?
Increase.
Increased. Second, what was the direction of electrons?
Downward.
Downward.
Downwards. So when I say downwards, okay, when I say downwards, it is up to me to observe the direction of electrons. Okay. Since I'm talking about a coil, for a coil I cannot use the word downwards or upwards. So try to understand. If it is a conductor, I've already explained what is the difference. Conductor means it is open. Anti-clockwise from which side?
From right side.
If you see wherever I place the cursor, from here, if you look at the coil, if your eyesight is going in this direction, it is anti-clockwise. Whereas when you see from the side of the magnet, it is going to be clockwise. Okay. Now let us repeat it again. Increasing the flux. When I see, now I'm going to talk only about observing from the right hand side. Okay. I'm not going to confuse with two directions. You are seeing it from the side where I place the cursor. That is on the other side of the magnet. Okay. So flux increased, anti-clockwise current. Now I am going to move the magnet away. Observe if the direction of current is getting reversed. Is it? So I am moving the magnet away. Okay. Observe. Look at the direction of current. Was it going upwards or not?
Yes, sir.
Did the direction change to?
Direction changed.
So it went to clockwise. No, that is what this law is all about. So let me explain it theoretically. So since you people observed it, let me explain theoretically. 1 minute, my device stopped. Okay. So whatever I'm saying, just try to do the same thing. Just draw a circle like this and another circle like this in your paper. Okay. Just draw it in this way in your paper. This is the pickup coil. And this is another pickup coil. Okay. So you're seeing your paper from the top, right? From the top, I'm going to drop a magnet with its north pole towards the paper. Okay. I'm repeating it. You have, let's say you have your pen in your hand. Okay, you have the pen in your hand. The cap of the pen or the nib, wherever it is present, that nib is the north pole, the other end is the south pole. So you have placed the nib towards the paper and you have dropped your pen. Okay. Is the flux through the first coil, and I'm talking only about the first coil, is the flux through the first coil increasing or decreasing?
Increasing.
Increases.
Increases, right? So it's very simple. You need not hesitate at all. Whenever the pole is moving towards something, field will increase, field increases, flux will increase. As simple as that. So since the nib is moving towards the paper, the flux is increasing. Okay. So
Is it always like when the north pole goes inside, the flux?
not only
increases?
not in the north, even if the south pole is going, the same thing is going.
then we can't say here, no, sir, like whether it is increasing or decreasing.
Let's see. Try to understand. What is happening? What is happening? Flux is increasing, right? Now I'm changing the reverse. Now observe the direction again. Moving downwards or upwards?
Downwards.
So now I'm going to repeat the experiment. See, North pole is going this side. Current is, electrons are moving in the downward direction, right? South pole is moving towards, electrons are still moving in the downward direction.
Okay, sir, got it.
You got your answer?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Sir, but when we move the magnet away from the
I'm
coil,
not talking about away at all. Concentrate one by one. You will get confused. So just concentrate on the activity which I'm saying. Okay. So don't forget about moving away as of now. Now I told you only one thing. What is it? The North pole, that is your nib is moving towards the paper. Is the flux going to increase or decrease?
Increase.
Increase, right? So here, so with respect to this experiment, if you observe, where are you? Are you on the side of the magnet or are you on the other side of the magnet?
Other side.
No. With respect to the activity which I told you, the pen and the paper.
Side of
The south pole.
No. Forget about
Left
south
side.
pole, north pole.
Left side, sir.
Left
side
side.
of the magnet.
You're on the side of the magnet. Left to right, I don't want. You're on the side of the magnet. That is what I mean. Right. So when I move this north pole close, one thing is clear, flux has increased.
Yes, sir.
Flux is increasing. What is the direction of current when you see from the side of the magnet itself?
Anti-clockwise.
From the side of the
Clockwise.
side of the magnet, it was.
Clockwise.
I'm sorry. I think what she told is right. Direction of electrons is clockwise. What is the direction of current?
Current is an anti-clockwise.
I'm concentrating only on the current. I'm not concentrating on the electron. See,
Current is anti-clockwise.
I'm telling all this theory for you to understand the logic behind it. There is a shortcut. Don't get scared, okay? There is a shortcut. I'm teaching only for you to absorb the concept. Why this is happening? So concentrate. So let's look at it like a story. So you have a pickup coil. You have a magnet which is nothing but your pen. You dropped it on the paper. Here you try to increase the flux. So my simulation is the simulation which we did is telling me that the current will get generated in the anti-clockwise direction. That is when I try to increase the flux, the current is going to get generated in anti-clockwise direction, provided the north pole is moving towards it. Right? Now what you do is you place a pen on the paper. You place the pen on the paper with the nib on the paper. That is, the north pole is here. Okay. Now I'm moving the magnet away from you. Means what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to move the pen towards you. So when you move the pen towards you, what is going to happen? What is the direction in which the electrons are flowing when you look at it from the side of the magnet?
Clockwise.
When you look at the direction of electrons from the side of the magnet.
Anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise. So the current has to be in the clockwise direction. Am I clear? So here what has happened? So I'm going to frame all the observations which you people told me. So when flux is increasing, so what are the two ways to increase the flux? You can either take the north pole towards the magnet or you can take the south pole towards the magnet. Whichever pole you are taking, the pole is moving towards, whichever pole you are moving towards the coil, the flux is going to increase. In this case, flux was increasing due to what? Because which pole was moved according to the activity you did?
North pole.
By moving north pole. So when I moved the north pole, what was the direction of current that is getting induced? Anti-clockwise. That's what you people told me. Anti-clockwise will give in case 1. Right? Anti-clockwise current acts like what pole? If you recollect the clock rule which I explained you in the 4th chapter,
North Pole.
anti-clockwise behaves like the North Pole. Do you people remember this diagram? Do you people remember this diagram when I explained the concept of
Yes, sir.
magnetic? Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
it behaves like a North Pole. So what exactly is happening? If the North Pole is moving close to the magnet, if the North Pole moves close to the pickup coil, the pickup coil will also start behaving like a North Pole. And it starts behaving like, who is giving this current to it? Is it having by itself? This current, is it having by itself? No. It is because the magnet which you are moving towards it is getting the current. But the current is getting induced in which direction? It is getting induced in such a direction, it is trying to oppose the cause. What is the meaning of oppose? Which pole can oppose the North Pole?
South Pole.
Which pole can oppose?
Oh, North Pole, North
It is
Pole.
like poles repel. No, that is why a North Pole is getting generated. You're able to understand. So if I repeat the same experiment by dropping the South Pole, what do you think would have happened?
South Pole would have been.
It would have created a clockwise current. So it will start behaving like a South Pole. Means current will the current will start going in the clockwise direction. I can show you this also. Okay, I can show you this also. Concentrate. Okay, do not get confused. You concentrate only on the questions I'm asking. So coil is there. Your pen, you're reversing the direction of your pen, means the nib is upwards, nib is towards you, and the other part is towards the paper. Now you're dropping your pen, so South Pole is moving close. What has happened? The electrons moved in which direction when you observed from the side of the magnet?
Clockwise.
Clockwise.
Electrons.
Anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise.
Electrons anti-clockwise. Current will be
Clockwise.
clockwise. So clockwise current behaves like a
South Pole.
South Pole. So to put it in very simple, you need not sit and do all this activity every time. I'm just trying to explain you what Lenz law is. To put it in very simple terms, if you're moving a particular pole towards the pickup coil, whichever side the coil is facing, the magnet will start behaving like the same pole. If North Pole is moved towards the magnet, towards the pickup coil, the coil will behave like a North Pole. If South Pole is moved, it will behave like a South Pole. Is this point here? Right. Now the second activity that I'm going to do is, obviously first I tried by increasing. So if I have to decrease, what do I need to do to the pole? If I say I have to move it away, correct? If I have to move it away, let's do the activity again. Now the South Pole is here. Okay. So you have your pen with the downward side facing the paper. Nib is towards you, downward side facing towards the paper. I am moving the South Pole away from the side of the magnet. What is the direction of electrons?
Clockwise.
So what will be the direction of current?
Anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise. So can I put something like this? Decreasing in this activity, what did I do? South Pole is moved away. So when I move the South Pole away from it, it starts behaving like which pole?
North Pole.
North Pole. Here also, it is trying to oppose the cause only. So what was the cause here? In the first case, the cause was increase in flux. If something is increasing, if it has to oppose, it should try to decrease. So it can decrease only by repulsion. So that is why similar pole got generated. Whereas here, what is happening? The flux is decreasing. If something is decreasing, it can oppose only by doing the reverse of it. Reverse means it should try to increase the flux towards it. It should increase means it should attract. So since the South Pole is moved away from it, it will try to attract it. Attract means it has to behave like the opposite. At the same point being like this, the same pickup coil, okay, I'm trying to decrease by moving what? The North Pole away from it. North Pole is moved away. What would have happened? I'm still trying to decrease. North Pole is moved away. So how do you think the current will get generated in this? Will it be clockwise or anti-clockwise?
Clockwise.
Because it will start behaving like a
South Pole.
so current will be in the clockwise. Okay. So with this, Can we frame a theory? Can we prepare a table so that you need not memorize it? Flux increasing flux is increasing current in the coil. So if the flux is increasing by moving the north pole towards, then it behave like current in the coil will be
North pole.
so in the north, it should behave like north pole. If it's supposed to behave like north pole,
Anti-clockwise.
current will be anti-clockwise. If south pole towards,
Clockwise.
as simple as that. The reverse theory of people can frame it. Okay, I don't know why, so you can take it as flux increase. So this is not needed. You can directly write it as flux increase. This is simple. Are you able to understand this? There are many questions based on this. There are many questions. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, can you just show the direction of the flow of the electron and current ones, because I'm not able to imagine that point, sir.
Nothing to imagine, observe it. I'll show it slowly, concentrate. Okay, look at the electrons. Here you have the south pole. When I move the south pole, just you see, forget about one thing. I'm moving the south pole towards the magnet. You concentrate only on electrons. Okay, now concentrate on electrons. In which direction are the electrons moving?
So it is going anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise when you see from which side? From the side of magnet or on the other side of the magnet?
From the side of the magnet.
When you see from the side of the magnet, electrons are flowing in the anti-clockwise direction. So current will flow in which direction?
Clockwise.
That's what I told.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. So similarly, if you observe from this side, if I move the north pole close, what is the direction? From the side of the magnet. The electrons are moving again in the downward direction. When you see it from the side of the magnet, it will be
from the side of the magnet, it will be clockwise.
Clockwise. So current direction will be
anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise generates what pole?
North pole.
North pole. That is what I told.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, if you're clear with this, we will do 2, 3. See, that's what they have given. The north pole, you're able to see the diagram on page 210. The north pole is moved towards, it generates a north pole. The north pole is moved away, it generates a south pole. That's what the theory is. Okay. Now I will show you some examples. Concentrate on this. So figure 6.7 shows planar loops of different shapes moving out of or into a region of magnetic field which is directed normal to the plane of the loop away from the reader. Okay. Determine the direction of induced EMF in each loop. So you have to use the Lenz law. Just a minute, let me draw the diagram. So the magnetic field is away from you. So magnetic field is away from you. Then you have a coil like this. The coil is moving into the plane. Let's say it is velocity is not needed. It is moving into the plane through some means. This is A, B, C, and D. Okay. If I talk about the first coil, now I need to say, the first thing I need to verify is if I need to apply Lenz law, I need to see whether the flux is increasing through the coil or decreasing through the coil. Increasing, same polarity. Decreasing, opposite polarity. Okay. So make a note of it. Increasing, the key is like this when you solve the problem. If the flux is increasing, same polarity. The flux is decreasing, opposite polarity. Okay. Now, in the case 1, this is the first coil. Is the coil moving into the magnetic field or out of the magnetic?
Into the magnetic.
Into the magnetic field means the number of magnetic field lines included with the coil, will it increase or decrease?
Increase.
Increase.
It will increase. Okay. So these kind of problems, how you are supposed to observe, do is, if suppose you see an into mark for the magnetic field in the paper, the into mark means it is into the plane of the paper. So what is the basic direction of magnetic field? The magnetic field is from north to south pole. You're able to understand this point?
Yes, sir.
So magnetic field's direction is from north to south pole. So when you solve this problem, first you have to imagine yourself like a magnet when you solve these kind of problems. So since in this case the magnetic field is into the plane of the paper, you will behave like a north pole or you will behave like a south pole.
North pole.
You will behave like a north pole because you are giving the magnetic field towards the paper. South pole will receive it. So who is giving the field? It is us. So when you are facing the paper, you are behaving like north pole. So first question answered, you are north pole. Second question to be answered is flux is increasing or decreasing? In this case,
Increasing.
Increasing. So increasing means what did I say?
Same polarity.
Same
Same
polarity.
polarity. So same polarity as whom? Same polarity as the one the coil is facing. The coil is facing whom?
Both.
That is, the coil is facing us. The coil is facing us, no? So we are north pole. So flux is increasing. So the coil should behave like a north pole.
North pole.
So if it has to behave like north pole, what should be the direction of current?
Anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise.
Problem is solved. That's it. So you have to report the answer like A, B, C, D, A. So that is the direction of current in loop 1. Use the same logic for loop 2. The triangle one. So the triangle ABC is facing whom? It is facing the north pole. That is us. We are fixed for all the three in this thing. Only thing is we need to verify whether the flux is increasing or decreasing. In the second case, is the flux increasing or decreasing? It is moving.
Decreasing.
Decreases.
Decreasing means it will behave like
Opposite polarity.
opposite polarity of you. That is
South
south
pole.
pole. So it should behave like
South
south
pole.
pole means current should flow in the
Clockwise
clockwise.
direction.
Clockwise.
So answer will be ACB.
ACB.
CB.
So similarly do for the third one. That's the answer.
Sir, can you explain the second one again, sir?
See, nothing. No. You're what pole?
Not.
Right. So the coil in the second one, is it moving away from the magnet? Is it moving out of the magnetic field or into the magnetic?
Away, sir.
Out of the magnetic field means the number of field lines included with the coil will decrease. So its flux is decreasing.
Okay, sir.
Accepted. So flux is decreasing means opposite polarity. So it should behave like so. So what is the answer for the third one?
ABDA.
Flux
The
decreasing.
potato shaped one. It is
BDA.
ABDA one.
ABCDA.
A, B, C, D.
Okay,
Oh,
clockwise,
sorry, sir.
clockwise, no problem. ABCDA. That's okay. ABCDA. Right now you can verify your answers. Now let's not read all the whole story that is given there. You get confused. Just concentrate my method. So they have given BCDAB. It's the same, right? Whatever we wrote is same. They started with B. They ended with B. It means the same. Right. What about the second one? ACBA, correct? See. ACBA. They started with B, so BCAB. A to C, C to B, B to A. That's it. That's right. What about the third one? Is it right?
DAB.
Correct only, no?
Yes, sir. You started with
that's
C.
So this is how you solve the problem. Now,
Sir, so for every question like this, we
That's it.
consider ourselves as North Pole always.
not North Pole always. Had the question been like this, had they put a dot, then you will
But then
be
we are South Pole. Okay.
You are the South Pole because you are receiving the fields. No? Book is the North Pole.
If the magnetic field line is like if it has an into, that means we are North Pole.
You are North Pole.
Okay.
See, sometimes they can 99.9%. I have not seen this kind of problem only into and out of the plane. If they give something like this is a North Pole, this is a South Pole. So they mostly give you an into or a dot. Okay. So can you guys do this one? So 6.5, a closed loop is held stationary in the magnetic field. Okay. Between the north and the south poles of two permanent magnets held fixed. Can we hope to generate current in the coil by using very strong magnets? Can we? So what is the keyword here? A closed loop means it is a pickup coil. A pickup coil is held stationary in a magnetic field. That word itself tells us that. So what is necessary for you to induce EMF?
The magnet should pass through.
Magnet should pass means there should be a relative motion existing. Means either of them is supposed to move. But here, since it is not happening, answer will be no. So that's the reason given here. No, because however strong the magnet may be, the current can be induced only by changing the magnetic flux through the loop. Okay. That is a key word. So when you write in the exam, since the magnetic flux is not changing, the answer will be no. Second, a closed loop moves normal to a constant electric field between the plates of a large capacitor. Okay. See, this will take some time for me to explain. So I don't want to rush as we don't have much time. 1 minute, let me check. So this part I will start in the next class. Can you do for this one alone? You can do the C part. A rectangular loop and a circular loop. 1 minute. What is given? A rectangular loop and a circular loop are moving out of uniform magnetic field region to field-free region with a constant velocity v. In which loop do you expect the induced EMF to be constant during the passage out of the field region? The field is normal to the loops. So tell me. So this thing. So they are saying, what is it they are saying? This is a very important question, concentrate. In which case do you expect the induced EMF to be a constant during the passage of time? So induced EMF depends on what?
Magnetic flux.
The change in flux per unit time. So what are the two shapes that are given to us? You have a magnetic field like this. This question is not about the direction. They are concerned about which one is going to be a constant. So in both the cases, the coil is moving out of the plane. In both the cases, the coil is moving out of the plane. So you have a circular loop. But in which case is the value of EMF constant? So if the value of EMF has to be a constant, then what should be constant?
Flux should be constant.
Flux is constant, means EMF itself will not be there.
Time will be.
Sorry?
Change in time.
It is a change in flux that should be constant. Means if 1 second there is a change of 1 Weber, in the second also there should be a change of 1 Weber. So between 1 second to 2 seconds also there should be a change of 1 Weber. You're able to understand? Between 2 seconds to 3 seconds, the change in flux should be 1 Weber. It is not the flux which is 1 Weber. You're able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
right.
sir.
So in which case will it change? In which case can you expect the flux to be changing uniformly? That is only the case of rectangle, because since it is moving with a constant speed, equal distances will be leaving out of the plane in equal intervals of time. Because it has a shape like this. So I can say small rectangles will come out of it in equal intervals of time. So when you try to calculate the change in flux, it will be a constant. Whereas what will happen with respect to the area? If in the first second this much part is coming out, in the second this much part will come out. The area of this and this cannot be matched. It will not be in linear proportion because pi r square. You guys are able to understand?
Sir, can you repeat once
Which point?
about the constant part?
Yeah, constant part is nothing but in a rectangle it will be constant. Means, see, if it is like this. Let's say in 1 second this much portion has come out. Let's say 1 meter has come out in 1 second, or 1 centimeter has come out in 1 second. In the next second, that is between 1 second to 2 seconds, how much can you expect to come out? 2 centimeter would have come out, but between 1 centimeter, between 1 second to 2 seconds, 1 more centimeter which was inside initially came out. So when you write the formula for flux, when you write the formula for change in flux, what will you have? You will have BA final, B final, A final, cos theta final minus B initial, A initial, cos theta initial divided by delta T. This is what Faraday's law states. So what is constant here? B final and B initial are same because same magnetic field. Theta final and theta initial are same orientation divided by the time is 1 second. So area final minus area initial in this case would have been how much? If I take this was 2 centimeter, what would have been the change in area here? The repeat 2 into 1. What will be the change in area here?
2.
2. No, it will be same 2 into 1 in how much time? The same 1 second. You're able to understand, right? Between 0 seconds to 1 second, the change in area is 2 centimeters square. Between 1 second to 2 seconds, the change in area is still 1 centimeter, still 2 centimeters square, because in the next 1 second only 1 centimeter has come out. So 2 into 1 is going to be 2 centimeters square. So between 2 seconds to 3 seconds, what will be the change in area?
2
it will still be
centimeters square.
It is only because of the reason, these are all small keywords, okay? It's because of the reason constant speed. So constant speed means equal amounts are coming out in equal intervals. Whereas with respect to a circle, that will not happen. You're able to understand. That is why the change in area will not be constant with respect to a circle. So the answer to this question is rectangle. Okay, the next part I will explain to the next class. Okay. So just wait for a minute. I'll take attendance and then you can leave.